So my name is Kevin Gabbard. I'm a senior director at Gartner in the Chief Data and Analytics Officer's research team. And the annual CDO survey is a tool that we run to help define what are the major priorities and obstacles for Chief Data and Analytics Officers. And this year is our 8th year of running it. And we asked around 500, almost 600 global CDAOs about 3 major topics. We asked them about how they are leading their organizations. We asked them how their teams are performing, and then ultimately what value that delivers to their organization. The purpose of the survey, again, is to find areas where we see globally there are opportunities as well as obstacles to overcome for this emerging business role, this critical business capability for global enterprise. So one of the areas where we see opportunity is, while this is a deeply technical topic and it is an area for data and analytics leaders to bring technology to benefit for their organization, it's also a critical business role. And so I would say largely there's an opportunity to position this as an indispensable business capability enterprise-wide. And what we see as a challenge in that is that when you look across the priorities that our chief data and analytics officers have, the remit, the set of accountabilities, responsibilities they have enterprise-wide is expanding rapidly. And so one of the major questions we have is, what does it take to lead an organization where there may be 15 or 20 major areas of responsibility, of which the leader of this function may only have deep technical expertise and experience in a handful. And so what does it mean to lead in an environment where you have a rapidly evolving landscape? You have business requirements that are new. You've got new partnerships to build across the organization and maintain a high quality of value delivery across the organization, while this set of responsibilities expands rapidly for the organization. And so we see that the ability to step up as an executive and lead that the data and analytics organization across that such a wide scope of responsibilities is a key challenge and a key opportunity for our clients. Overall, the theme that we see clients gravitating toward is that they need to figure out ways to deliver value to their organizations, and they need to define, based on their own stakeholders' outcomes, what data and analytics as a capability is, what's possible with data and analytics as a capability, what use cases are most valuable for the organization, and to broaden their definition of value return to the organization. It's critical for data and analytics leaders to be able to position their data and analytics function as a key business enabler at a minimum. And then beyond that, as transformational enterprise-wide to find new revenue opportunities, to find new business models, and to find ways within their operating model to then, put those ideas and that vision to work and actually get it executed across the enterprise. Success for data analytics leader, broadly speaking, is their ability to connect sometimes very disparate sort of requirements to overall enterprise success. And as we spoke about just briefly, finding areas where business stakeholder outcomes can be championed by the data and analytics organization itself. Whereas we see somewhat straightforward source of inspiration for data and analytics strategy is the corporate strategy. Well, that's on the right track. A way to dig down and figure out, what actually needs to be put together from a project level. That's actually picking up other stakeholders' outcomes and then providing a proactive point of view on not just incremental improvements on what business units are trying to accomplish, but being a foil for them and providing them somewhat, an art of the possible kind of perspective on not just incremental improvement, but what true step change kinds of improvements might look like enterprise-wide. We recognize from a capability standpoint that data and analytics, while there is a lot to be done centrally within that function, a truly successful data and analytics leader is able to orchestrate across multiple parts of the business and bring data and analytics to bear on those core enterprise projects, wherever they may be and wherever that execution is required across an enterprise. I think that, broadly speaking, the best data and analytics leaders recognize that technical competence, while it's useful for being able to oversee certain projects, what changes a project leader into an executive profile is the ability to champion business goals and the ability to balance both technical and business requirements, and putting those together so that there is a trade-off between, how we're going to accomplish it, yes, but more importantly, what are we going to accomplish and what value that returns to the organization? It's a great question. Right now, everybody's talking about talent, and that's certainly a challenge. There's only so much chief data and analytics offers any executive really can do in a tight labor market where there isn't talent to be found. And so really this is a time where, even though risk appetites are increasing, we have to get kind of creative about how we're going to deliver value for organizations. And so while we know, and the survey has shown us that control of a budget, control of resources is critically important for getting work done in an enterprise, increasingly the ability to orchestrate across other stakeholders, borrow resources from others, and be a champion and sort of a lightning rod to attract effort, resources, what have you, across the organization is critically important. Resources are available, but they may not necessarily come in the forms that we're expecting. It's not necessarily just a talent play. It may be finding other ways to corral resources and focus them on critical projects that are enabled by data and analytics. I would say first and foremost, curiosity and open-mindedness are something that most CDAOs have in abundance, and those can be brought to bear as a truly unique executive profile, where asking the right kinds of questions, providing the right kinds of suggestions, those kinds of nudges, and being in the room to be that sort of visionary thinker, that's something that I think most data and analytics leaders are capable of. They may not necessarily be aware of how refreshing that may be when trying to deal with some core operational challenges, and especially when dealing with more innovative projects where true enterprise change management is necessary. Project leads are, as a profile, are really important. That kind of mindset is important for delivery, but the most successful chief data and analytics officers step above that. And for those looking to make that change, I think one thing that the survey bears out quite strongly is going back to the talent issue that we spoke about. There's also a need for development, and not just for the teams, but for data and analytics leaders to invest in themselves. And so one of the things that we are drawing attention to is, for as much as CDAOs are looking to try to attract the right kind of talent and develop the right kind of talent in their organizations, they're not turning that on themselves. And so an openness to their own strengths and weaknesses and their own vulnerabilities turns out to be a critical driver of success when CDOs are willing to look at what their strengths and weaknesses are across, again, that widening set of responsibilities that they're being asked for. There are a range of factors that separate them. Overall, though, when we look at general effectiveness, only about a third of those we surveyed truly are in that high effectiveness category. I think that when we break it down into those three categories of where they are investing in themselves, those that are willing to self-reflect, figure out areas for their own improvement, that's a key distinguishing factor for that executive profile. Within their teams, they are the leaders who are finding opportunities to drive change and who are inserting their team in the right places to be catalysts for enterprise change. And then lastly, at an enterprise level, if we think about the kinds of outcomes that are being delivered, it's those CDAOs who are willing to champion the outcomes that their stakeholders have in alignment with overall corporate strategy. So I want to speak specifically to the two findings that we found for most effective leaders in terms of strategy development, because I think that it will more clearly address your question. So first of all, taking direction from what the corporate strategy is. The idea of a separate data and analytics strategy that is then integrated with a corporate strategy is probably the wrong approach. Data and analytics is a foundational capability. It's a business capability for the organization. So putting data and analytics in service of the overall organization strategy is first and foremost. And that's one that I think many of our respondents recognize. I think the other, and we've spoken about it in previous questions, the idea that stakeholder outcomes are critical for data and analytics success. It's not about those internal process metrics, but rather putting data and analytics in service to other stakeholders in the enterprise. So in terms of where we see opportunities, given that we, in the survey, generally found that only about a third of those surveyed are truly effective. One of the areas where we would really encourage investment and attention are in the opportunities where there is enterprise change management, and investment in people and resources across the enterprise. And this really is a focus on data and analytics culture across the organization. If data and analytics is going to be a critical business capability, that means we have to raise the awareness of what data and analytics is capable of across the organization. And that's a slightly different level of engagement for most CDAOs than project engagement. That's figuring out how to push literacy into the organization. That's looking at, how do our decision processes work? Are they optimal for the technology that we have available? Are the kinds of tools that we provide giving the best opportunity to gather insights across the organization? And so those are longer range investments across the organization. They're related to data and analytics, and CDAOs as champions of data and analytics need to be at the forefront of those things, but they will be the ones where we see greatest opportunity for differentiation going forward.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.